Okay, so now that we've set up our levels, we can begin to lay out our floor plan. You may have something already sketched up or in SketchUp, and we'll talk about how to bring that in at another video. I just want to talk about some framework issues as you start to think about laying your building and what's set up in the Beck template for your use. When you start from the design floor plan, or any floor plan for that matter, you're going to see two green reference planes. If you pick on these, you'll notice one's labeled origin plane east-west, and the other's origin plane north-south. This is indicating to you that the intersection of that should be the center of your building. And this is also indicated to you by where the elevations are. They're looking for a building to be drawn in this area, not up in this area or down in this area or down this area, but centered amongst this area. And why is that? I'm going to let you see where the project base point is. I've enabled temporary view properties because there's a view template assigned to the design floor plans, probably to all floor plans in the project, that turn things off. And one of the things that is turned off is the project base point. If we were to go to the site tab here, we can turn on the project base point and the survey point. And those you will see occur at that intersection. And you'll see right now the survey point is set to 000, and the project base point is also set to 000. We're not going to move those. We'll talk about setting those coordinates at a different time. I just wanted you to see why the origin is there. And we're going to look at another thing in the template. If we go to this plan called Coordination Views, All Things Visible, this is a view that has a different view template with everything turned on, or most things turned on, I should say. So in this view, you will see what these things are. And another reason that you want to draw your building centered about these reference planes are scope boxes. What scope boxes let you do is organize your plans and reflected ceiling plans, everything that you want to be in the same scale. So in our template, we have floor plan views, we have finished plan views, you might have equipment plans, you'll have your RCPs, any other views you may have of a floor plan and you want them to be the same per area. So if you pick this, you'll see that it's called Area 1, this one's Area 2, this one's Area 3, and this one's Area 4. And these correspond with our partial plans. So if we look at our partial plan, level 1, you will see that there's a dependent 1. And if we look at what that is, that scope box is Area 1. And the next one's going to be Area 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea. So wherever you work doesn't matter. These are the views that are on the sheets. So let's just draw some walls to put some skin on this. So we'll just draw with our exterior 12-inch. And so we start drawing, and I don't know what building we're making, but we'll say that it looks something like this. Looks like it's some kind of office building. And we'll make something more real in a little while, but right now I'm just trying to illustrate the point of this. So now if we were to go back and look at these partial plans, you'll see the regions they are encompassing. Now you'll see that this needs to be stretched out to see more. You can't stretch it in this view, which is important to understand. You can only stretch it in these coordination views. So if I needed that to be bigger, I can stretch this. And it's affecting, what's cool about this is affecting, if I stretch Area 1, it's affecting not only this floor plan view, but all levels floor plan views, all reflected ceiling plan views. So if we were to go and look at all these partial ceiling plans, you see it updated to match that. Now on a small project, you might get rid of all of these and say, well, my whole thing fits in an 1/8-inch plan. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. And I'm just going to make one big one. And that's fine. I just want to show you what's set up here is four parts, and you would stretch them as needed. Now, you may find a better location as you start to break up your building, and you may say, well, it doesn't quite work to be right there, and that's fine. I'm just showing you the basics of what's set up here. So the next thing I want to show you is dimensionally. It's really good to have a plan as you lay out your building dimensionally. Now, when you're designing, you can just sketch, but once you start to think about dimensions, I like to use wall faces because they typically mean more than centers. I like to put some dimensions on in whatever, I usually work in this coordination, all things visible work, but you can work in any view you want, and we'll talk about that more later too. I like to make sure that my dimensions are an clean dimension from there. So if I'm just sketching and I see that this is close but not very good, I will take those two and activate that and say, okay, let's make that 36. And then now this is a nice clean dimension from that origin point. And I would likewise, go through and check the rest of my dimensions. And okay, I sketched that's close to 37. We'll make it 37. Now, if I knew this was a masonry building, I'd do 37'4" or 38, 30, I'd 38.8, or I'm sorry, 36.8. I'd move it close to a masonry dimension as I started to fine tune my dimensions. But we're just playing, and I would do the same thing north-south, right? I'd like to check all of these dimensions and have them a clean dimension from that origin. This is not critical, but it just helps organize. I'm going to tell you why I think it helps organize in 1 second. Let me finish cleaning this up so I can activate that. Okay, that's 24. And these two here, we'll activate them. Okay, that's close to 37 too. And then this last one's 8. Okay, all good. So why is this important? These reference planes, like I said, show up on every view. They won't print. So one thing to note is don't dimension to them for your plans that are on sheets, because your dimensions will disappear because these will not print. What this lets you know is anytime, let's say you start drawing interior walls, and as long as you always draw with faces of finish, because it's a general statement, sometimes you use other, but generally speaking, our interior walls are going to be dimensioned to the face of finish, the face of chipboard. External walls, if it's the finish is the brick, it's going to be to that. If it's your backup wall with sheathing, it would be to the sheathing. Anyway, what this lets you do by laying out your dimensions this way is you can, anytime you want to check if a dimension is clean, you can always grab it and say, oh, good, it's clean dimension to the reference plane, then I know it's going to be clean when I dimension it for real. So that's why. So a couple reasons, things I want you to remember about the Beck template. The origin is the center. You draw your building about that. We have scope boxes set up that you adjust for your the extents of your building, and this is updating your plans and reflected ceiling plans all the way up the building, no matter how tall it is, and then try and dimension cleanly from these reference planes, and that will help you long term. And if you're building symmetrical, these will help you in terms of mirroring items from one side to the other. So you might want to think about that too. All right, I'm going to pause this, and then we're going to talk about grids in the next video.